The end of 2013 brings with it the close of a console generation. With the launch of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, their predecessors have already started to be pushed out of the limelight, and before long will be last gen. But while our memories of the hardware might be quick to fade, the games we've played over the generation will stick with us for years to come. The PlayStation 3, Xbox 360, and we have all been host to arguably the strongest collection of video games ever to be released. And over the coming hours, in this series of Game of the Generation podcasts, CVG will run down what it thinks are the cream of the crop before crowning its ultimate game of the generation. The voices you'll hear include myself, Tamoor Hussain, staff writer on CVG, as well as games editor Chris Scullion, associate editor Rob Crossley, and editor Andy Robinson. The list has also been created with input from CVG's Bath team, US and Australian teams, as well as contributors to the site and members of our sister publication, Official Xbox Magazine. The process involved collating all of the highest rated games of this generation and then adding in any personal favourites that we felt deserved to be on the list. From there, as you'll hear on the podcast, we whittled down the list to 50 of the best. The final 20 games were voted on by the entire team using the Eurovision method, with each person assigning 10 points to their best game of the generation, 9 to the second best, and so on. These votes crafted the final CVG Game of the Generation list. The entire process has been recorded and will be released every day for the rest of this week for you to listen to. So sit back, enjoy, please let us know what you think about our picks and tell us about your own picks, and don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. The first game on the list is Halo in its entirety this generation. So that's Halo 3, Halo 4, Halo ODST, and Halo Reach. I don't think anyone's gonna say that they don't belong on the list, but I think it might be worth trying to whittle down that to the better games in the series.
I'll kick us off with a controversial point. ODST is the best Halo out of that list.
I would
reach close second.
Whoa.
I think I would agree.
Oh my god!
With that,
Crazy days.
We're in a minority here for some reason. Like,
have you? First of all, you've played Halo. All these.
Yes,
right?
I have. Yeah, I played.
Well, I don't know. Most of the things I say, you just like.
Yeah, I played ODST. I thought it was terrible.
Okay,
boring
so we've established out the gate that Rob Crossley has questionable quality.
And also Halo Reach. I thought that was really bad as well.
Okay. So basically,
yeah.
Let's just.
Halo 3 is too long. It's too by the numbers.
But then what it did for multiplayer.
Well,
but Halo 3.
If we're talking about campaigns, ODST is out of all of those. I mean, Halo Reach, as I say, is kind of a close one. ODST shook up the formula. It's the greatest sandbox shooter series there is.
Right.
And it's taken that formula.
What about Far Cry 3? Or?
Yeah, Halo's significantly better than Far Cry.
Yeah.
As a sandbox shooter, I can show you some sales numbers. See, a lot of people agree.
We're not talking sales here. We're talking quality.
So
whether it sells,
the guns. Let me make my point. The guns and the weapons by that point, and the mechanics are so refined, and they take this amazing sandbox shooter mechanic, and they actually put it on a sandbox for the first time. The soundtrack is absolutely incredible. The tone. There's actual characters that aren't faceless men in suits. It's sharp. There's no filler. The flashback stuff I think works really well. And I think the gameplay, the sandbox gameplay, is just that's Halo at its peak. There, everything was just so well balanced, so refined. Having the Watchers come in and shield everyone, and then having to deal with them. I think it was the pinnacle of the series.
I thought it was boring. I think the only thing that really saved Halo 3 was its AI system, because because it was so good that, like, just in the middle of fights there was so much strategy.
So are we talking about Halo 3 now?
Well, yeah. But the thing is that AI system permeated across ODST and Halo Reach. Halo 3 is boring, Halo Reach is boring, and I think ODST is boring. I think it's probably, and I know it's going to sound controversial, but I think it's probably the most overrated series of this generation.
It probably is overrated, yeah.
I'm not a massive fan of Halo as a kind of smudge in my gaming knowledge, which is why I'm kind of stepping out this chat. I've not even finished the fight yet.
The fight is still
the fight is very much has been ongoing for a 7-year fight.
Can you predict what you think is going to happen at the end of Halo 3?
Master Chief will probably get promoted and become president. I'm guessing that's what happens at the end of it. That's what happens at the end of President Chief.
I think if we're looking at if we look at it on an aspect by aspect basis, Halo ODST has the best campaign I think, in terms of what it does narratively, in terms of what it does atmospherically, in terms of what it does for characters. I think it has.
I think a lot of people, I sense that a lot of the community
will disagree purely because it's not Master Chief.
Reach though is a more of a follow up down the path started off by ODST.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it didn't.
But Reach is a game. Reach is a game that came out after. Was it? I'm right in saying after Call of Duty, right?
Yeah.
And the characters, although they look good, they are the same archetypes from Call of Duty. So from that perspective, and it's just about the crux of the story is how they interact with each other. I think in Reach, and obviously everyone knows they make it off the planet, or this happens and it leads into Cortana getting off the planet and this and that. But I think the story in Halo ODST is focused entirely around these specific characters and what was it called, the Superintendent.
Yeah.
That was such
I didn't even mention the
such a
Superintendent.
great, yeah, exactly.
One of the few great characters in the Halo series.
The best character in the Halo series is an AI.
Yeah,
that is brilliant.
And the second best is an AI.
Does he help them? Does he help them finish the fight?
Yeah.
Does he help them finish the fight at any point?
It's got nothing to do with the fight. It doesn't need to be finished.
That's fate. I gotta tell you.
What a great game! I'm actually going to go back and play it.
I think
you and I agree that ODST should be on this list.
Yeah, and in terms of multiplayer, there's very little. Like in terms of multiplayer, what Halo ODST would have to go up against is Reach, because that was the only not Reach. Was it Reach or 4? Which one started the Call of Duty-ifying the multiplayer?
Oh, that was Reach.
Was it Reach?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what it has to go up with, because Halo 3 before it's the same multiplayer suite. And in terms of it's about
ODST as well. Another thing that ODST doesn't get credit for is inventing the whole firefight thing. Which after that, it nicked Horde mode really, didn't it, from Gears?
Yeah, Horde mode.
I think Gears was first, but after that, every game had it.
Yeah, I should add. I haven't actually played multiplayer on any of those games.
Right.
I don't like playing. I don't like playing online multiplayer. I don't
either.
So like,
we agree in that.
Tamoor and I are going to.
yeah.
Well, I'm abstaining from this vote because I don't know.
I'm not going to debate.
So.
I think the multiplayer is great on both games. What tips the scales for me is the ODST's campaign is better. And based on that, I think
it's an underrated gem out of the series.
Yeah,
I think
based
a lot
on
of people
that,
would disagree
I
with
think
us,
out of the entire Halo, out of Halo 3, Halo 4, ODST and Reach, ODST should stay and the rest should go.
So we're putting ODST in.
It looks like it because I'm abstaining from the vote, which means Rob's probably outvoted.
I don't like any of the games. So.
Okay, scratch it off. We're keeping ODST
stays.
Go out.
The rest can do one.
Okay. Shocker already.
So Tokyo Jungle.
Yes.
I think that should stay. Is anyone going to say it shouldn't stay?
The thing I love about Tokyo Jungle, I think we were saying earlier, basically it's Streets of Rage.
Animals. Streets of Rage, isn't it? Basically.
That sounds perfect.
Does it stand out in your memory as a game, one of the more memorable games across the last 8 years, though?
I think it's one of the most unique games of the last 8 years.
Yeah. Is that good enough?
Yeah, I definitely think so.
There's other games on this
franchise. You've got Twilight Princess and forget that. Forget that. But I think for now, Tokyo Jungle should stay. We can get to the argument. We can get to argument. We will get deeper into it if we run into a situation where we need to have to eliminate that.
Yeah, that'll get eliminated.
No, I don't know. Red Dead Redemption.
I'm going to defend Tokyo Jungle to death.
Anyone going to say Red Dead Redemption? Is anyone going to commit suicide on the internet?
Hi.
There he is.
I must. I think I should point out that I don't play games as much as my colleagues do.
That's why we invited you.
Yeah, to be the whipping
boy. Computer and video games.
But like that's because I'm more time. I just have I have little time, so I guess like I'm analysing all these games based on how much they offered to me straight away. Mm-hmm. I played Red Dead Redemption for an hour, and I vowed to never play that thing again because my God. That was boring as hell. I can't remember what I was doing.
It does have a slow. Pretty much ignore anything that came out of his mouth for the last.
It does have a slow intro. Once it gets going,
I don't
think it starts any slower than a Grand Theft Auto, or starts any slower.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that
it's the same. It's like pacing wise, it's quite similar to.
That game's got some of the most amazing glitches in any game as well.
Purely on glitches, that game is one of the best games of the generation.
I got lassoed by a coyote.
You can throw a Molotov at a bird and it will never catch up. They'll just be in a constant chase for the rest of the game. That's amazing. All right, so that stays. Number 4, Portal 2.
That's one of the that's in my absolute top 3, maybe ever actually.
Yep.
I don't think I've enjoyed playing through a game recently more than I have when I went over to EA to review Portal 2 actually, and I played through the campaign, and then I played through the co-op with John Hicks, who's the editor of OXM, and we had so much fun. Yeah, it's just so sharp, so funny, so well written. I played for it 2 or 3 times, I think. Yeah,
I've never experienced a game that made me feel like such an idiot and then such a genius in the space of say 10 minutes. And that journey you go from to like you're befuddled by everything you see to like I am a master of these puzzles. Like that journey it takes you on is just fantastic.
Those guys at Valve deserve a trophy, just being able to put a sequel out there that doesn't feel totally unworthy of the original.
Yeah, that's
it's easy to forget that, before this game came out, if anyone had discussed or thought of the idea of doing a sequel to Portal, it would have been,
Well, that's right. I mean, it was an experiment on the Orange Box, wasn't it? Have we got Portal 1 in this list?
Got an Orange Box later.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, well, that's a good idea.
Number 5 is Spec Ops: The Line.
I couldn't care less about Spec Ops.
I'm an advocate for Spec Ops. I said it should be on this list, but I'm also going to say it should be eliminated from this list.
Right. There we go.
Because
excellent argument.
The best part of I just wanted to say it should.
But we thought about it.
I want to recognize that it had an amazing moment. And it's one of the standout moments in
Was it the bit when you get to the line?
It's the bit where it takes something that you do. Shut up, Chris.
It's the line. Spec Ops time.
Credits.
It's the bit where it takes something which we do so flippantly now in multiplayer games, like dump missiles onto a group of enemies.
Teabagging?
Forces you to. Do
you get teabagged?
No, you don't. Forces you to witness the consequences of what that happens. So in this game, there's a bit where you're in an AC-130 or the equivalent, and you're dropping white phosphorus grenades on a grouping of figures that you've been told are enemy combatants. White phosphorus is like this horrible substance which burns white hot and just mutilates anything it touches. So then after that, you end up in the area, walking through the area that you've bombed, and it turns out they were just civilians. And they're all just depicted there, just dead, and you get to see the aftermath of what you've done.
Yeah.
But the problem is that is the one standout moment of the game.
Yeah.
It's got an interesting storyline. It's got like this weird psychological thing going throughout it, but it's let down by its kind of very average, boring gameplay. And that's pretty much those 2 elements stand out.
So we commend it for its bravery.
It's well done to Jaeger for Spec Ops, but I don't think it's one of the games of the generation.
So that is why Spec Ops: The Line is going to have a line drawn through it.
Shut up, Chris. That's enough of that.
Hundreds more line jokes.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of puns. Number 6, Pac-Man Championship Edition DX.
I think it's the best. It's the definitive version of Pac-Man.
Yeah,
agreed, 100%.
I played it for 5 minutes and I liked it.
You're supposed to. It's got 5 minutes.
We should just use that soundbite for the rest of the list. Go home.
Yeah.
It's only got a 5. It's got a 5-minute timer on it anyway. So well done.
You played it to completion. Well done.
Actually, it was 2 minutes. I ain't got time for this.
All right. But I don't think. I think we need to start being more harsh before we take 2 off this list.
Yeah,
I love Pac-Man, and everything on this list we love, or we probably love. Otherwise, it wouldn't be on the list. This is a really high quality list of games.
Yeah.
Is Pac-Man a game of the generation? I don't think so, but it's a very good game. It is the definitive version of Pac-Man. It's brilliant.
I think you should put a light line through that just in case, because I don't want there to be a point later on where we're like, oh, we're keeping this, but Pac-Man's gone.
Oh, we'll just bring it back.
All right, cool. Yes, I don't.
Okay, well, it's
okay.
I'll put a line through it.
There are no rules here.
And then a question mark next to the line. By the end of this list, I want to have a really complicated...
You'll have to write a legend at the top.
So put a line through it and a question mark.
All right, so number 7, Braid.
I despise Braid.
Possibly the most pretentious game released this generation.
I want to take it off just because of how pretentious it is. I mean, I enjoyed Braid. I thought it was really clever, especially at the time it came out.
I've never completed it.
I want to, I think Jonathan Blow is also a poor writer, or at least he exhibits himself as a poor writer.
Damn, son!
No,
shots fired. Shots fired.
No. Start round, shot fired. No, because like some of the literature in that game was so amateur hour and so studenty. It was like I had to literally just whip past it just in case anyone came in. And
he was sub-editing it in his brain.
I was sub-editing it. No, but like I think the gameplay mechanics are fun. I mean, I enjoy them. I enjoy the game itself. I can understand why people might think it's pretentious, but I just think like this is a game based on its story, and the story is pretty poor.
Yeah. Was it based on its story though?
I think it intended to be.
I thought every time someone says they advocate for Braid, it's they talk about that feeling of being stuck on a puzzle and then eventually figuring it out, and the feeling of figuring it out and not using a guide to do it. That's what people say they love about Braid the most.
Yeah.
Yeah, I YouTubed most of that game.
Yeah, and I did the first puzzle, and I got to one puzzle which was quite difficult, and I figured it out, and I was like, I've got that feeling now. Yeah. The rest of it is not holding my attention enough for me to carry on doing that.
I can see why it's a clever game. I would just despise myself if I ever liked it, because
I honestly don't think we should disregard something because you might consider it a bit pretentious.
No,
but I think we should disregard it because either it doesn't play well or it doesn't look good or whatever. And I think as much as I hate the writing in it, a bit like David Cage's games, I think it does play quite well. And it is a really good mechanic.
We sound like we're all point. It gets to the point where it's taking the piss a bit, and it's like it's so the puzzles are so ridiculous that it takes a lot of the fun out of it for me.
We sound like we're a bit down on it, although we enjoyed it. It doesn't sound like we're talking about a game that will make our final.
I mean, I didn't know. Like I said,
that's right. And ultimately, that means we should.
Should we take it off?
Yeah, we should take it off.
Bye. Sorry, Jonathan. If you're listening from your steampunk
steampunk cave where you're making.
No, he's cool. He's really cool. He's awesome.
Number 8, Street Fighter 4.
Well, that's got to be in.
Yep. Number 9.
That was short.
Really? Oh. As definitive as
Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
Are you seriously saying it shouldn't be in there?
I wasn't that bothered by it. But okay, fair enough. That's okay.
That is like one of the best fighting games.
Calm down.
It is
calm down.
The best
We'll
fighting game.
talk about it later,
we'll
'cause it will be in the.
I know this guy, man. Number 9, Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas.
Well, just to play devil's advocate here, I'm going to tell you how much I dislike Fallout 3, but everyone else adores it. I mean, I've told you this story a million times. I gave it a good effort. To clarify, I'm not really a huge fan of Bethesda's games in general. They're just not for me. They don't really click. I need games to entertain me rather than have to go out and look for this emergent stuff. I played it for 6 hours. I continued only because of how good everyone was telling me it is, including our readers. And eventually, after the 6 hour mark, I got quick saved inside a room with no ammunition, with 2 super mutants sat outside.
Oh, so you were...
Game over.
You made your own limbo.
First of all, the checkpoint system in that game is god-awful.
Yeah.
And that's a common theme in a lot of their games. But, yeah, it didn't grab me, but a lot of people disagree.
Both Fallout and Fallout New Vegas are, I think, exceptional games that are let down by innumerable glitches and technical woes.
But that's a byproduct of its expansiveness.
Yeah, it's just exactly. It's the ambition that does that, and in some part, some really shoddy technology behind it. Like their engine is notoriously shite.
You know when I said earlier I played Red Dead Redemption?
There's no ladders in the game.
You know what I said earlier when I played Red Dead Redemption? I quit after about an hour. I played Fallout 3 for about 4 hours, and for some reason I just pressed ahead past that point that you probably were at, Andy. And it turned out that it was just this amazing, expansive game. And I must have spent about 100 hours on it.
So cowboys and westerns, bored.
Nope.
They drop you in a dead, empty field where you get attacked by mutant pigs.
I just think it's how I'm feeling at the time.
Can we at least agree that Fallout 3 is better than New Vegas?
I think that's a sensible thing.
I think it is, but it's worth noting that Fallout New Vegas was even more ambitious than Fallout 3 in terms of mechanically. It had a lot more gamey mechanics to it, like partners and recruiting factions and being. It was more like the original Fallout. Yeah. But at the same time, it was compromised technically, and it opened with a with a glitch of a guy's head turning on one axis, and that's like, oh, so you're gonna open with a game-breaking bug? Awesome.
That's my favourite bug.
Yeah, of all time. But I think Fallout 3 deserves to be on this list purely because how well it realizes like an post-apocalyptic environment.
So will we ditch New Vegas and keep Fallout 3 then?
Yeah.
Thing is, when we come to it though, if push comes to shove, would people choose Skyrim or Oblivion over that?
Yeah, maybe.
I think they're for two very different peoples, man. I think
one's got swords.
One's for fantasy fans. Like I know, like I'm the case.
You don't think there's any crossover there?
Other than fans, the crossover is people who like either Bethesda games or open world games. I think
crossover is people who like walking a lot.
I think thematically it also appeals to different audiences. Like I know people who have bought
only thematically, right? Surely everyone who loves Fallout loves Skyrim.
Not necessarily. I know people that have played Fallout, and then I told them Skyrim is the game from the same people, and they said I don't like it. It's this elves bullshit. That you can't get elves. Get me some friggin' aliens and decayed people and stuff, and I'm on board. So
I didn't play Skyrim because I thought it was going to be really long, isn't it?
It was really long. So it's like upwards of 200 hours or something if you want it to be. All right, so Fallout 3 stays in.
Begrudgingly stays in.
New Vegas gets kicked. Next on the list, number 10, is Ni no Kuni, Wrath of the White Witch.
Who's played this?
I've played it.
I have played a bit of it.
I loved it, but forgot about it quickly after playing it. It looks incredible, and the voice acting's really nice. It's nice to have a Welsh character in there for once. But at the end of it, when it was finished, I thought that was nice, and then just went on with my life.
But like, can't you just watch a Miyazaki movie?
Yeah, it's one of the best looking games this gen, I think. Well, last gen, but that graphics don't necessarily count for everything.
I really like JRPGs, but for something about it was, it didn't hook me in the same way that most JRPGs do, like, or other RPGs on this list have.
I didn't like the battle system much.
Recognized how good it is, like in terms of quality. I didn't think like you could get something like how they pitched it, a Studio Ghibli game, but that is a Studio Ghibli game in every way.
Yeah,
and it's in terms of it is stellar in its RPG mechanics and creation, and Namco is Namco. They did a great job with how it plays. But something about it just didn't hook me.
Yeah, the battle system didn't really.
It was kind of like a weird Pokemon middle ground thing, and I felt like it was like I wasn't having fun during the battles.
Yeah,
it was, and that didn't keep that wasn't enough. And when you're doing so much battling, it's just not enough. You forget about it very quickly, or you lose interest.
I just think I'm glad we mentioned it because it is obviously a good game.
It is.
It's a really good game, but it's not.
Just considering the wealth of other great games that are on this list.
Yeah.
And we have 100. So more than 100. I think we should cross it off.
Number 11, Gears of War series. That's 1 to 3, including Judgment, I guess.
Well, we should have a vote. Andy, what was your favourite Gears of War game?
Mine was 2.
I think, I agree with Tamoor. I think the second's probably the peak. The third became, although it was also excellent, became a bit over familiar by then, I think.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
I'd vote for the second because I think, although it got criticised a little bit for it, I think I quite liked how the story tried to do something a bit different.
I found it quite funny at points, actually.
I thought the characters were quite well fleshed out. By today's standards, probably not so much, but I think that was the pinnacle of the series.
Yeah, I agree. I think the writing was better than Braid. So.
I think.
Genuinely.
My favourite moment, one of my favourite moments from this entire generation is in Gears of War 2. After, is his name Dom? Yeah. His wife, he's just figured out his wife is a husk of a human being and is essentially dead, and he puts a bullet in her.
Spoilers.
And then after that, in the next segment, there's a weird Easter egg. Like there's some like weird little egg, and if you shoot it enough, there's a toaster inside. And if you press A on it, he goes, "Who wants toast?" And then Dom runs and he goes, "I like it crispy." Like, your wife is dead, mate. Literally a second ago, your wife was dead.
That said, I don't think the multiplayer is as strong in the second as it is in the third. Also, you got the 4-player co-op.
Yeah,
in the third
I think it's
well.
It was the perfect middle ground. Like, it was refined enough, but it wasn't overly. It wasn't played out by that point. And at the same time, it had Horde and all these other modes. Horde mode was amazing.
I think one of the other reasons as well why we kind of lost interest in the series as it went on is because it was so far ahead of all the other games graphically at the time when the first one came out, and to a lesser extent the second one, that it looked at the early stages of what was then next gen, it looked next gen. It was one of the first games, and by the time we got to 3 in Judgment, there were so many other games that looked that good.
Well, yeah, Gears of War 1 was the flagship Unreal Engine 3 game, but I guess Gears of War 2 was a flagship Epic Games game because they finally understood the tech enough that they could finally be really ambitious, and which is why you had those things like you were battling on. What were you battling on? These giant elephants or something?
Yeah,
or?
And I think
you're on these giant tanks shooting like cannons at hundreds and thousands of troops on the ground.
Yeah.
I think that was the game in which the Brumac became like a normal enemy. When it was in Gears of 1, it was like this special enemy that could only be produced on the PC version because the Xbox wasn't powerful enough to do it. And they were like, oh, we got Brumac in this one as well. They're everywhere.
But I think we're getting a bit lost in picking between the 3 entries in the series. A Gears of War game should definitely go on our list.
Two is probably.
I think we're all agreeing it's 2, right?
Yeah. Judgment's a great game, and it mixes up the formula, but I don't think it's in terms of if we're going to have a Gears of War game on here.
People forgot about it pretty quickly.
It's good because it's a diluted.
I wish I could mix the campaign of 2 with the multiplayer of 3.
Yeah.
Because sometimes the multiplayer on the second was utterly broken.
Yeah, I agree. I'm notorious for not liking being very quick to turn on it. But
Horde mode is awesome.
Yeah, Horde mode is brilliant.
Yeah.
So, 2 or 3?
Let's put 2 in.
2. All right, Rock Band 1 to 3 / Beatles Rock Band at number 12.
You love a bit of Rock Band, don't you, Scullion?
I do indeed. I can't decide whether I like it better than Guitar Hero though. I think Rock Band had a better choice of songs and better presentation, but I always preferred Guitar Hero's feel. I don't really know why. I think it was slightly more forgiving. But the Beatles Rock Band for me was a highlight. I know everyone's looking at me funny. I should state for the record.
I usually look at people like this.
Oh, that's true, actually. I don't know why. I think it's just because at that point we'd already had Guitar Hero Aerosmith and Guitar Hero Metallica, which were okay, but they didn't really celebrate the artist in the way. But then the Beatles Rock Band, every song had its own kind of really bizarre psychedelic music video with it, and I think anyone who's a fan of the Beatles, like I am, it was a ridiculous game in that respect. So I kind of like that. But obviously, Rock Band 3 is the one that most people would consider the definitive one.
Right. I played briefly all of them, and Rock Band Beatles was probably I had the most fun playing that purely because of production values. And the intro sequence alone is enough to be like the one that gets it stay on the list.
Is it a game of the generation?
Well, it's a game that defines the generation.
Certainly one of the Rock Band or Guitar Hero games should be in there, in my opinion, because
let's not forget
this plastic instruments were such a massive part of this generation.
Yeah.
But let's not forget that was born on PS2.
Do one of both series go through?
I think you take Rock Band as a whole, because
I remember I was in the room when they announced Rock Band. A quite informal EA kind of dinner sort of drinks gathering.
Yeah.
I think it was at GDC, and my memory might be really betraying me here. But I think it was their CEO at the time. What's his name, Rob?
The CEO, John Riccatello.
Yeah, it was Riccatello. And he like stood on a chair and just said, "Yeah, we're working with harmonics, and they're doing a game where you don't just play with the guitar, you play with the drums and you play with a keyboard." And everyone in the room was like, "Wow, that sounds amazing."
Wow, Riccatello's drunk.
What are you?
Personally,
get down from there, Riccatello.
Personally, and you can disagree if you want. The two I would nominate. I know I'm getting ahead of myself here because Guitar Hero still to come up. But of the two, I would nominate Beatles Rock Band because it showed how much you can celebrate one artist, and Guitar Hero 3 because I think among most Guitar Hero fans that's considered the definitive one because that was just at the peak of the genre's height of popularity.
Isn't Rock Band almost like the definitive Guitar Hero game?
It is, but Guitar Hero 3 was the one that had people talk. That was the one that had Through Fire and the Flames, and that was the one that had the kind of
track list that set it apart.
It had the track list, and it had the kind of the high.
So that's when that series truly broke through.
That was its peak. Yeah.
Well,
but it's a tricky one in general.
I don't know. I think
I think it'll be silly of us not to have a game like Rock Band on this list because obviously.
But that's the tricky thing is, do we have one or do we have both or what do we do?
Focus all our love on just one of them.
The thing is, if I have played these games, this genre, throughout.
Yeah, I've played them to death.
So I picked up the first Guitar Hero.
Yeah.
I played it, and that's the one I enjoyed. The ones that I've enjoyed the most are Guitar Hero, the original, and Beatles Rock Band.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at someone casually who plays them casually, those are the 2 points when I noticed the genre or was most interested in it.
Yeah.
So I think, like, this is out of the two of them, Rock Band is the only one in this generation, obviously. So
yeah, because the first Guitar Hero was...
And Beatles is the definitive Rock Band game.
Yeah. So I didn't play the other
So
Rock
in
Band
it
games.
goes.
It was Beatles Rock Band that I played.
Okay, so Beatles Rock Band goes in, Guitar Hero goes out.
Yeah.
So room 101 noise.
That's controversial. That
All right.
The readers will
13.
respond to that.
They will comment
interestingly.
in the comments.
No Guitar
threads.
Hero this generation.
13. Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess.
Underrated.
It is
Yeah,
underrated.
massively
It
underrated.
is underrated. Skyward Sword made it look really
Kicked
good.
off
as well.
the generation.
Is it
as
worth
well,
just
launch day.
mentioning now that number 14 is Skyward
Well, let's
Sword?
talk about both. Skyward Sword's not going in.
Yeah, Skyward Sword is.
Twilight Princess is a
disgrace.
massively
I agree with
underrated game.
I think it is ultimately underrated. Yeah.
It is. It has the best dungeons of any 3D Zelda. They're
Well,
amazing.
Let's not go nuts. I mean, that has really good dungeons, and I really like the dark tone. And
Before we
I
go on,
loved the Zant character and the fight you have with the spoilers. The fight you have with Zant at towards the end of the final, probably the final quarter of the game. The fight you have with Zant when he's actually having
The
a
final
breakdown.
third of the game is amazing.
Yeah, when Zant is actually having a breakdown in front of you and you're fighting him, it is just incredible. And yeah, so I super loved it.
Should we briefly acknowledge and then dismiss the arguments that will come up that Twilight Princess is a previous generation game because it was on GameCube as well? Should we just ignore that?
It released on Wii the same day it released on GameCube.
It counts as
I'm-
being
I'm-
in
And
this generation.
Yeah.
they extended the development of it by a year after they decided it would be released also on Wii.
Exactly.
So
So
I
pick
don't
it
think
out.
that's fair because it would have had a year less development theoretically if it was just released on GameCube.
Agreed. So deal with it.
Yeah,
Some of those amazing dungeons might have not made it in.
It was just some fun we had in 2005, so it goes in, surely. Some fun we had in 2005.
And
It
Skyward,
goes in
Skyward
for
Sword,
me.
we're all
That's-
agreeing, is out.
Yeah,
Yes,
that is
I
it.
had-
Bloody hell, that is
I-
such a
I like
thing,
the
yeah.
way that game looks. I like the music in the game, but I did not enjoy playing it at all.
Yeah, it's the
This is
only Zelda
controversial.
game.
And that's entirely because of the motion stuff.
I think it's the only Zelda
Yeah.
game I've not finished to completion
Yep, same.
ever.
I can. I mean, there's a massive spoiler about the ending. That was also a complaint that I want to air. I won't because obviously.
I think you should.
Well,
If you
the
haven't
final-
played Skyward Sword now by now,
If you haven't played, if you haven't finished Skyward
think
Sword, put
everyone
your
who
fingers in
plays-
your ears and go. Beep, beep, beep.
Yeah, just skip forward for like a
Go,
couple of
hey,
minutes,
hey.
or maybe 4 minutes or 5 minutes. So like. One of the magical things about the Legend of Zelda series is Ganondorf. He's such a fascinating, interesting character. He's not in Skyward Sword.
Boo.
It's supposed to be the origin story of the Master Sword.
Yeah,
Wouldn't
exactly.
work.
Yeah. Well, still, it's like the guy you fight at the end. I forget his name. I think his name is Legion. Is it?
I was going to say Lee there. His name's
Hi, I'm
His
Lee.
name's Lewis.
But it's like complaining that Han Solo's not in Star Wars Episode 1. It misses
No.
the point.
No, it's not.
I think
Ocarina of Time's the origin story of Ganondorf. If you put him in Skyward Sword, it'd be ridiculous.
I just wish it came with a warning saying, "Warning: Ganondorf is not in this game." And if they said that, I wouldn't have played the thing.
like two
All right,
Ganondorf
fair
fans
enough.
around the world would be like, I'm not playing this.
Yeah.
Rob and someone else.
Pre-order
There's loads
cancelled.
of Ganondorf fans, man. He's
Yeah.
a really good character.
Rob actually runs the
Ganondorf fan.
south of England Ganondorf.
Ganondorf fan.
Appreciation
There's
Society.
always, every year, nobody knows, but Ganondorf Expo happens. And it's just Rob on his own.
Yeah, with a red wig.
He's just got like a pig mask on. Now I'm small, now I'm big.
That's
Now
what
I'm small,
GDC
now I'm
actually.
big.
That's what GDC actually stands for.
Ganondorf
It's Ganondorf
Developers
Devotees Club.
Conference.
Playing a game of volleyball with a plastic sword.
I'd like that.
Twilight goes in. Let's move on.
Twilight Princess is in.
So Twilight's in, Skyward Sword's
Skyward
out,
Sword is
Guitar Hero's out.
Guitar is out, which leads us on to number 16, Forza Motorsport. Either between 2 and 4.
I think 4's the best one.
Yeah, agreed.
I'm not into that genre.
Are we
I'm not
talking
into-
better than Horizon? Because
Horizon's a completely different
They're
game.
Really different.
For me
different?
is the definitive
Yeah.
Forza, including the latest Xbox One version.
Yep, agreed.
It looks amazing. It's got the most content, and for someone like me who really doesn't like that sort of game, I mean, I don't play Gran Turismo or anything like that. I just find realistic racing games a bit dull.
Yeah.
It's so inviting to,
I think for a lot of people, it's the point where Forza series overtook the Gran Turismo series, like quite meaningfully in terms of quality.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I'm not a petrol head in the slightest. I don't get excited about cars, but the stuff in Forza 4 got me excited about, like stuff like that Auto Vista mode where you can walk about the cars and see all the detail. And by the end of it, you're thinking, yeah, I can see why people are into this.
The matching between Forza and Top Gear is perfect.
Yeah.
Like Top Gear is a show that anyone can enjoy, whether they're petrol heads or not. And similarly, Forza is a game that anyone can enjoy, even if you don't like simulation. I enjoy Forza now and then, and it's just because it makes car porn interesting.
Yeah,
and
that's the thing. Well, like Gran Turismo has like 12 million cars in it, and you just look at it and go, right, okay, that's a lot of cars. But Forza's got a passion that's like contagious. That you also love cars by the time you finished it.
Yeah,
so I would say Forza 4.
All right.
It's a shame we're not going to mention Forza Horizon.
Horizon's next on the list.
Oh, great.
17.
Great segue.
I played it for 5 minutes and got bored.
No, I'm actually going to... I saw
the Horizon at the start and thought, well, that's it. Credits.
I actually had to
You can't actually get to the Horizon.
I know. Bullshit.
Yeah,
just
I know.
False
but that's
advertising.
what kept me going.
You're still playing it.
Horizon won't move!
That's DLC. You got to buy the Horizon.
I really, really liked Forza Horizon.
Yeah, I did as
I
well.
I have heard it is really, really... I've not played it, but...
It's really fun. You can drive off-road and go really fast and everything.
It's one of the few games this generation where I actually enjoyed exploring the whole map. A lot of games that want you to explore the whole map and you're bored by the end of it. But it's just a really subtle thing by having the entire map there on the map screen, but all the roads greyed out. Being able to light up the roads as you drive along them is absolute genius, I thought.
Yeah, I think it should stay on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we haven't two Forza games on the list. They're very different.
Let's go mad.
They're very different games.
Yeah, it's not a Forza game. Really,
We generally agree that Forza is a series of this generation, racing series.
Number 18, New Super Mario Bros. Wii.
That alone takes it off from me.
Get rid of it for that.
That's the worst. That's the worst thing in this generation. Is that
I quite like it.
Mainly not because
It
it's
started
annoying.
off
It's
fine.
an annoying
First
sound.
of all, you're like, oh, that's charming when it was on the
I've
3DS.
only just got what the hell you're on about.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
It's
music
that
goes,
stupid soundtrack,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah.
and it's not just because
They've got some new dude in to change all the music.
Yeah.
What are they doing?
and not
Like,
just
and all
because
the Cooper Troopers do a little dance
Dance
and stuff.
in it,
yeah, that's
I
the
really
bit
like
that
that.
annoys me.
I
That's
knew
the,
you'd
no,
like
but that's the bit that annoys me. Not just because it's an annoying sound, but
Ruins
it
the
genuinely affects the game. I'll often play games with no sound on. So, and just as you're about to jump on a Cooper Trooper, it stops and turns to the camera, and you miss time your jump.
I
and it
often
totally
play
makes it
games with
arse
no sound on.
Yeah.
Sometimes I close my eyes and play games.
Yeah.
I
The game
wondered
doesn't
what
work
on
that,
earth
but
these Cooper
get rid
Troopers
of
were
it.
jigging to.
Well, it messes up your jumps. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that game and that concept was charming as fuck when it was on
Charming as fuck. Wow.
on
say that on the
DS.
box,
On
We
Yeah.
got through the
I said that
whole
on the box.
podcast without a fuck.
Yeah. And then...
It's
afterwards,
on DS. It is like, but then that concept again and again and again. By the time
I
got
was
to
I
Wii,
was done with it
I was
even
done,
by
yeah.
then, to be honest. I mean, it was
There's
pretty.
so many Mario games we're going to go through. Let's not do this one.
I think as a side-scrolling Mario game, it's fine, but it wasn't.
Mario games
maybe
aren't
because
supposed to be fine.
because it had already been
It's
done on
supposed to be.
DS.
Yeah.
Because it had already been done on
I
DS.
think Rob's just nailed it. Mario games aren't supposed to be fine.
Yeah, there's
That
plenty,
game is fine.
plenty of Mario later, which
19, Donkey Kong Country Returns.
Better than New Super Mario
Yep,
Bros. Wii.
I'd agree with that.
I haven't played it.
I really like that
I
game.
did.
Is it a
like
game of the generation? Don't think so. I really enjoyed it. It's a great game.
It is a real.
I don't think it belongs in the top third of our list here.
no,
Yeah, we're going to have to whittle these down, and this one's going to... We know this one's going to
It's
go
a great,
eventually.
it's a great game,
it's
but
an 80%.
it's
amazing.
not one of the
It's
most
just- it's
memorable
what I
games of the
thought
last
it
8
was
years for me.
Retro. What a studio. What an
Yeah,
amazing
yeah,
studio. They could go
yeah.
from making Metroid Prime into making Donkey Kong Country Returns.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's an 80%, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. So is that going off?
Off the list.
Walking Dead,
Oh my
Telltale game
God.
series.
Sensational game.
That is staying on there.
Yeah.
Far Cry 2 or 3. If we're keeping one of them, it's got to be 3. 2 had some interesting ideas.
Sorry, I'm afraid I've got to leave the room. I've just caught malaria.
There you have it.
Oh, can't leave. Oh, my shoes have jammed.
It was a bit, but it was very buggy. It had some mechanics in it that were too quirky.
Shall we say ambitious?
Fun breaking. So
it's a shame because I had some good ideas. It just didn't execute.
Whereas Free was
Free is just
game.
excellent game.
Yeah.
Great game.
So that's staying on.
Yep.
So Far Cry 3 is staying on.
Next.
The entire Assassin's Creed franchise.
Right, let's make some room for this. So I mean, a lot of us are fans of this series. We agree that the worst game on this list is probably Free. It's such an infuriating game.
3.
It's such a shame because 80% of it is meticulously, beautifully crafted, and then the final 20%, the elements that are crucial to the whole game.
You could argue that it's
plot. It all falls apart.
You could say the same for Assassin's Creed 1.
Yeah, but Assassin's Creed 1 is nowhere near as ambitious as Assassin's Creed 3. It relies on it less. There's a few, it can be a bit repetitive, Assassin's Creed 1. Some of the missions mission types weren't particularly fun, so the eavesdropping. But it's almost like Assassin's Creed 3, we should have had on the box from the makers of Assassin's Creed 1. It's like Assassin's Creed 3 is the sequel to Assassin's Creed 1 they would have made if Ubisoft wasn't the sort of company that actually does take on board feedback, as it does really well, and iterate. It's as if Assassin's Creed 2 and its 2 subsequent sequels didn't happen.
Yeah.
The eavesdropping in that game is infuriating.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only few games that I can remember where I've actually shouted at a television on my own like a crazy man.
I did that as
is
well.
one of them.
I did that multiple times.
2, I think the argument on this list for the pinnacle of that series is almost certainly 2 or one of its spin-offs.
Brotherhood, I reckon.
And I was going to say Brotherhood. Assassin's Creed 2 is amazing, and the even more amazing thing is that Brotherhood is almost better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Assassin's Creed 2 was the only one I played.
Yeah, to be honest, I've not played a lot of the series. I haven't even finished the fight yet. So yeah.
I finished 2 and I vowed never to play that series again.
I think
I honestly don't think it's very good at all.
I think Brotherhood does. It's more of a game, and it's more an interesting game. And I think the story really. What are you laughing at?
Just an after laugh from Chris's joke. I do that sometimes.
After laugh.
Just a little bit of after laugh still in me.
Yeah, I think it's got more going for it mechanically.
I think we should put 2 and Brotherhood on.
Really?
Yeah.
Bold. Okay. We'll do that for now then.
Well, you really bent over there, didn't you?
Yeah, let's do it.
I've not played enough of them to know, so I can't.
All right, that's good stuff.
And then they clearly are different games as well. Like everyone loves Brotherhood for the multiplayer.
They're both amazing. One does not make the other one inferior. You could play both of them. You could play them in any order, in fact.
That is true. You could play them.
If someone came in and said, I've not played an Assassin's Creed game, what should I play? I'd tell them to play both of
3.
those. So play 2, then play Brotherhood.
Play Assassin's
They
Creed
play
3.
3.
If you look at the list now, we're cutting off about half of the entries.
Yeah.
So we're on good.
We're all right.
We're on
Yeah,
good
we're
form,
doing
I
okay.
think.
23. Bayonetta.
Walls Bayonetta.
I really like Bayonetta.
Bayonetta is an
really
excellent game. Yeah. I don't think that should go. Trials Evolution, number 24.
Blimey, that was really good, wasn't it?
That is.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's an awesome game.
It's a great game.
Yeah.
I'm looking around to see.
Probably in the top 5 digital games of the last 8 years, I think.
In terms of impact it had as well,
That sounds bold, but you're probably right, I mean,
it's such an amazing
just
game.
perfected it, didn't they? It was an incredible game.
Number 25 is the point where I bow out. FIFA Soccer.
I would nominate particularly FIFA 11.
I'd say 12.
Yeah.
Yep, that do.
Wasn't 12 where they changed
12 was when they added the
Sure.
impact engine.
Moving on.
Yeah, and they changed the tackling, right?
Yeah, 12.
I think 12's the pinnacle still.
This generation, ever since
more iterative.
Ever since Pro Evo went switched to 360 and PS3, Pro Evo's massively plummeted in my opinion, and it's only just now starting to fight back. So
I
I'd
agree.
say FIFA
I
as
absolutely
well.
agree. The last few Pro Evos have been really good. I think 12 is the definitive FIFA ever, actually.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Not just this generation. It's the best FIFA.
I'd agree.
I mean, if I could get some roster updates and stuff, I'd go back and play that.
Yeah, play 12 instead. I'd agree.
I think FIFA 12 needs to go in.
Brap.
All right, so
should we have a review of the list while we're here? Let's have a look and see where we're at.
Go on, Chris. You've got the edited list.
Okay.
How many are in? How many are out? Where
so
are we
far,
at?
we're at number 20. We're at 25 in the list. So far, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Some nice dead air for everyone.
I know. Sorry, we've got
Edit that out.
we're 25 down the list, and we've still got 18. So we've cut 7, but that's bearing in mind we've counted 2 Assassin's Creed, so we've technically
We need to
cut
be
8.
more ruthless.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's
go, and let's all
also,
be really
you know,
moody.
All right, Limbo.
Well,
Well, let's go back.
Time is precious.
Much as I hate to say it, let's eliminate Tokyo Jungle.
Oh no.
No,
Wait,
You know
wait,
what? I
hold
think we've gone through. I agree with him. We've gone through this. We've been pretty ruthless with some of these, like Donkey Kong, etc.
Yeah.
Donkey Kong's better than Tokyo
When you
Jungle.
say that, you're right. Yeah.
Okay,
When
so
you say
Tokyo
that.
Jungle. God bless
Tokyo
you, Tokyo
Jungle's
Jungle.
coming up.
Tokyo
Right.
Jungle, you are an excellent, hilarious, brilliant game, but you're not on a.
So- but it's a jungle out there.
list.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
let's move
Number
on.
26, Limbo.
That should be on the list.
I think it's poor man's Braid.
And we've already established that Braid is pretty.
No
we've said Braid is
way.
crap.
I wasn't
So-
blown. I was blown
I
away
really
originally
like-
by
it's
Limbo,
a
but
fun-
by the time I got to Spider, I was done with it.
What?
It's
So-
a moody, it's a moody
Shut the
platformer.
front door. Like,
It hasn't even got an interesting mechanic.
right, it is a platform game. It's an adventure game disguised as a platform game.
It's
So
what I
don't
like
have-
about
you
it.
don't point and click on anything, but you have to figure out what you have to do because you're a limited platformer character. It's amazing.
I really
That
like the
game didn't look
limitation.
amazing.
No, that's
You
not true,
wouldn't
man.
say-
That's
Yeah,
not true,
okay,
man.
it would
It
do
was.
one.
It was just.
Mm.
It was. That's kind of true.
Braid is a better game. Braid is definitely a better game than Limbo.
I don't
Absolutely.
think so.
I think Limbo's better.
I think Limbo is a better game.
Yeah.
What
So
is
The
it?
pressure, the
Me-
pressure, and
mechanically,
some
what
of the
does it do?
puzzles is
yeah.
the pressure's really like exhilarating, knowing that a spider is coming for you in
So
the
that's
opening
like
segment.
the first 15 minutes of the game, by the way.
And like there was so much more atmosphere in
Yeah,
Limbo
it's
than
the
there was in
atmosphere.
Braid. Braid was reading books.
But are we choosing games based on atmosphere?
I think
Well,
that's
kind of, it's
I
one
think
of
that's
those.
a
It's
big
one of the things
contributing
that-
factor.
I mean, especially the ending as well. Spoiler alert: the ending where that I guess I shouldn't say actually where that thing happens.
No, you can say.
Well, you go past the finish line. Suddenly it's like you're crashing through. It seems like you're crashing through a car or something, and people have like all these theories about what the ending was actually all about. I thought it was just like this really fantastic abstract story.
See,
I
I'd
feel-
rather be told what the ending actually was. Donnie Darko's the only film
Well,
where
go
I'll
on
accept.
Wikipedia.
No, because no one knows.
I think
Surely.
for now it should stay.
I think just for the reason that we didn't include Braid, we shouldn't include Limbo. If Limbo's a
I'd
better
agree
game,
with
it
that.
certainly isn't better by much, and I don't think it's a better
Okay,
game.
I like Limbo, but if you ask me, is it one of the games of this generation?
No, it's not.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it is.
I would say that it is.
Do you think
Yes.
there's going to be a scenario
Yes.
where
Do you think? Yes, I do.
is there a scenario where you crown Limbo as the game of this generation? I think
That is not a criteria I have done for any of these games. Like, is
If
this
we're
the
being
game of
ruthless,
generation?
if we're being
should
ruthless-
should we include it just because Rob it'd be the only one?
what
Rob's
we'll do
included
is
so far?
what we'll do is we'll come back and eliminate
wait,
I wouldn't
wait,
even
wait,
nominate.
yeah.
I wouldn't even nominate Limbo as one of the best Xbox Live Arcade games, let alone games in
Oh, you've
general.
ruined it now. We were just about to concede.
Oh.
Oh, okay, go on.
No, come on. 3 of us out of the 4 now disagree with that.
All right, look, I mean, democracy and everything. Sorry, Limbo.
Mark of the Ninja 27. I
No,
think that
I
is an
don't-
excellent game.
I don't know what that is.
Mark of the Ninja
It's
is
stealth-based.
Klee Entertainment side-scrolling stealth game.
I despise
Cool. And
stealth
it
in
is-
general.
You
so
despise stealth, but I think it is. It's been a long time since I've played a pure stealth game that has is really exhilarating, really fun to play at the same time.
By the way, I've just noticed that it's 5 o'clock. So I'm going to go and get a beer from under my desk.
Okay, cool.
Okay, enjoy.
So I think Mark of the Ninja should stay because what I like, I love stealth games. Rob, you love stealth games as well.
Yeah, I love
But
Metal Gear.
Would you say that a lot of modern stealth games are they're diluted stealth experiences? Like think about Metal Gear 1 compared to Metal Gear 4.
Right. You're saying it relies on other mechanics other than stealth
It became.
in order to
Remember
keep
how
you going.
Metal Gear 1
Yeah.
was so mechanically heavy, and it had strict boundaries.
Yeah,
And it was
yeah.
the cone of vision, for example.
Yeah.
You could stand in front of an enemy as long as you were
Yeah.
outside that cone of vision.
Yeah.
You were fine.
Yeah, and like I suppose we compare that to Dishonored these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Dishonored it's not even stealth anymore, is it? It's a range of different things
Yeah.
that you can do. So
That's what I like about Mark of the Ninja.
Oh, I'm back.
It's kind of like this very mechanical, like clear.
Don't ring up to the mic.
This is how office rules work, right?
That's what Mark of the Ninja drives us to drink.
This is cool.
So like no one else likes Mark of the Ninja, so we're gonna scratch it off.
I don't get so much that we don't like it. It's just the fact that.
Hold on, have I been left out of this conversation?
No, you went out to get a beer.
Yeah, you went out to get a beer, so you couldn't have been really passionate.
Can I
about
just
it.
have my piece? I've not played it.
I think that sums it up more. I mean, I appreciate that most of the people who've played it really enjoy it, but it has come and gone without.
Isn't this
much.
our flaw then? If like 3 of us haven't played it and it's really good.
Well, do you know what?
Do you know what?
I was kind of
hoping... They won a
hoping...
golden joystick this year, didn't it?
Yeah.
Oh well,
they've won enough. Take them off the list.
I was kind of hoping
they should be smiling through this podcast.
2 awards from us.
Sorry, Mark of the Ninja.
I'm sure they're very happy with their golden joystick.
Good. Cost a lot to make.
Number is actually solid gold.
It's not really.
No.
Sprayed gold. It's like Games Master
number
ones.
28. I was kind of hoping that would just slip by anyway. So I was thinking in my brain, if anyone puts up Resistance, I've got nothing. I've got nothing. Number 28, Super Meat Boy.
I love Super Meat Boy,
Super
but I
Meat
don't
Boy.
think it's a game of the generation because there's a million similar games.
I also love Super Meat Boy.
You know what you said earlier about Limbo? You said I don't think it'd get on the list of the best Xbox Live arcade game. I think Super Meat Boy would.
Yep. It would be near the top. I think. I don't think it should be eliminated yet.
I don't think it should be eliminated either.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there should be an argument.
I think it deserves to
about
get to the short list.
It needs to be in a battle against another Xbox Live Arcade game at some point.
See, don't get me wrong. I think it's great, but off the top of my head, I'm thinking N+. I'm thinking Cloudberry Kingdom. I'm thinking there's a lot similar games which are
I think
Super Meat Boy is better than both of those games.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, there's just the amount of content it's got, the amount of character it's got.
Yeah,
let's
the
push on.
personality.
Let's put that one in because 3 of us want to.
Fine.
Number 29, the Dead Space series, 1 to 3.
Oh man,
let's have a row tomorrow.
Dead Space 1 is undoubtedly the best.
I love Dead Space 1, but I also really love Dead Space 2. I wouldn't say Dead Space 2 is better.
Can we at
I
least
don't even know
agree?
if I enjoyed it more than... I think I did.
Can we at
I
least
did enjoy
agree
it
Dead
more than the
Space?
first.
Can we at least agree Dead Space 3?
No, Dead Space 3 is out.
Oh yeah, Dead Space 3 can clear right off.
Yeah.
And
It's
Dead Space
rubbish.
Extraction.
Extraction is an
quite
excellent
liked
game,
it.
but I don't think it's a game of generation. I don't think it stands up to the rest of the franchise.
I only played Dead Space 1 and it was a fantastic game. It was actually quite affected by how scary it was.
That is what I love about that game. I play that game in the dark. I very rarely will go to the lengths of creating an atmosphere to play the game in.
Can I share my definitive moment of that whole series?
Yeah.
And this probably says more about Dead Space 1 than it does about Dead Space 2.
Yeah.
But the moment in Dead Space 2, halfway through, where you find out that they actually that Ishimura is docked there, and you realise you have to go in it. I never had such a feeling of dread. I was like, I've got to go.
Yeah, exactly.
They've got it here. Like I've spent that whole game trying to escape it.
Yeah, but that moment trades on the.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It
game,
probably says a lot more about the first. I think the second. It's impossible to. So it's like picking between your children. They're both amazing games.
Yeah.
I probably liked the setting more in the second. I love the space station. I love that they did something different, and it wasn't just dark and shadows and Event Horizon stuff. They tried to do something a bit different with it. I think the action stuff worked well. It wasn't to everyone's taste.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly. I wouldn't call it a survival horror game. It's like an action horror game.
And I think the first one left such a lasting impression on me in terms of the horror.
The last 5 minutes of the second game as well, probably the most intense piece. I think people could have heart attacks playing the ending of Dead Space 2.
Is that from
the eyeball onwards,
eyeball.
where you have to have your eyeball pierced and you have to do it. That is one of the definitive moments in games this generation, definitely.
Wow.
You then have to run away from a invincible respawning necromorph who chases you through really loud area, and they talk about the sound design in the Dead Space series is amazing. It just sounds like a train screaming past you.
I remember
really
in the
uncomfortable
first
noise.
one, there was a hospital wing at the base of the ship, and for some reason or another, I just didn't have any. There was no ammo on the bloody game, so I just couldn't dispatch any enemies in there. And I vowed, after scraping through, never to return to that hospital. And later on in that game, I had like a key or something. I had to get a key, and I realised I had to go through that hospital again. and I go up to
you
it.
have a little cry?
I open the door.
He realised the game is linear.
I
doesn't have a choice in the matter.
I literally was scared of going through the door. I literally didn't want to do it because it is so tense. It is so bad for you.
Yeah.
It's so scary. It's like,
and I really loved that original game. I played it. It came out at Christmas, right? Or around Christmas, probably Halloween.
Yeah.
I loved that it was an EA game as well.
Yeah.
I loved that something that original, came out of them.
Brand new IP, and it was.
I loved the direction they were taking.
Yeah, and it was like
came out the same day as Mirror's Edge as well, right?
It wasn't a massive thing. It didn't launch massive. I remember you were telling me that you had to actually convince other people.
Yeah,
to play.
I had to, and it's a shame, really. I had to lend my copy of Dead Space around the office and shout at people to play it.
Yeah.
Like, please play this, and some people didn't.
I
named journalists in the office. I'd give them the copy and then ask for it back 3 months later when they didn't play it.
I did the same thing while working retail. Whenever someone came in and they were like, "I want a game,"
and fair play to EA
Dead
again
Space
for, despite the sales, doing the sequel.
Yeah.
Because people only really started paying attention on a wider.
I think based on.
I thought it was inevitable there was going to be a sequel and a third one. I didn't want there to be a sequel and a third one. I thought it just that contained experience of one. Was
based on enough. That, the risk that they took, and based on the lasting impression, I think Dead Space.
Although I loved the second, I think you two would say the first. And I wouldn't disagree.
Yeah. I'm just going to add. I'm going to be that guy and say that I got a bit bored halfway through Dead Space 1 because it felt to me like it was just going through the motions and there wasn't enough variety in the monsters. But I do appreciate why it's in there. I just thought I'd give a BBC style objective view.
No, okay,
Number 30, Deadly Premonition. This game is hilarious. It's broken. It's difficult to play. It's also like one of the most unique games, and
it also feels like it's just on the long list so that we can give it a little nod.
Yeah, it's like it's one of those. It's one of those things where you can't tell whether it was created by a genius or someone who has no frigging clue what he's doing.
Yeah,
it's like the Room of video games.
Yeah, it is. It's a massive in joke, and we've all had a laugh, but I think it can do one.
No, I love that game. It's hilarious. You should play it, especially if you're a Twin Peaks fan.
I agree, but I wouldn't.
But it's not a game of a generation. No. As isn't the next game, 31 Mad World, Platinum Games.
Yeah, it feels like another nod that one.
No.
Yeah,
I think it's one of that one got games. I got a lot of attention based on its visual style. I think once you got down to it, it was kind of boring, gameplay wise.
I love the who's the pimp dude in it.
I can't even remember.
Yeah. He's awesome.
It did look
+1 for pimps.
It did look great, but I was kind of bored with that.
It felt like an old school Sega game. It really did. It felt like if it came out on the Dreamcast, it wouldn't be out of place at all.
Yeah, definitely. Visually as well.
I really love that game, but
scratch that grub.
It doesn't go to the shortlist.
Number 32, Wii Sports or Wii Sports Resort.
Resort.
I think sports
tried to add depth to sports, and it did that, but it missed out on the key things which made it fun in the first place. It wasn't as accessible.
Yeah,
and probably that really. It wasn't as accessible. You needed the Motion Plus for a lot more of the.
It became too finicky. With the introduction, it was like
I still play Wii Sports today. And Wii Sports is responsible for one of my not just moments of the generation, but moments in gaming ever, when it was really great feeling to reflect one Christmas day when all of my extended family, mum and dad and uncles and aunts and cousins were all playing a video game.
That's totally
and it made me reflect and think through all those Christmases through my childhood where they wouldn't have given me a second glance playing a game. I was playing one of those video games. Things.
It's
all involved.
It's especially for people our age, like in our 30s now, who went, or late 20s, early 30s, who went through our whole childhood with a hobby that we still considered kind of slightly underground to an extent that any time an advert for a game would appear on the TV, you'd feel like a slight sense of pride because you kind of feel that all the adults are down on it and that your hobby isn't kind of accepted in society. To suddenly, like Andy says, have everyone accepting it was great.
That being said, and I agree. That being said, I think Wii Sports is a good Nintendo game on Nintendo's level. I think it's a fantastic.
I think it's one of the best games ever.
Yeah, I love it so much.
I played it with my mum, which
I still play today.
My mum has
got the thing in
no interest in
2005.
anything I do in terms of video games. So when she actively wants to play a game with me, that game is special.
I got a hole-in-one on golf this first time this year.
Did you?
Yeah,
Nice
felt awesome.
Nice.
And
Well done, Rob.
Cheers, thank you.
Good job.
Am I on this list?
No, and it's amazing when you think it's got that kind of undefinable Nintendo magic, and that when you look at it on paper, it's fucking 5 mini games.
Yeah.
Really basic mini games. The golf one isn't even that accurate, like in reading your motions. Yeah, there's just something about it.
Agreed, They have the fitness test as well. And
yeah. It's bizarre.
It's really good for parties as well.
Yeah.
All right, so everyone loves it. It's going in.
Yeah.
But not Resort.
Not Resort.
Resort was just like, here's one you can actually buy this time.
Yeah, I did actually prefer Resort because I like the motion controls, but Wii Sports is most important.
Cool.
Okay, number 33, Zack and Wiki.
Oh, Zack and Wiki.
I like Zack and Wiki.
I think I said it should be on here, but it's not a game of the generation.
Thanks, Tamoor.
It's
probably a much more worthy game that should have gone onto the long list that you removed to put Zack and Wiki on there.
I think it was one of the first games that started to show what the Wii.
It's probably the
controller
last
could
half
do.
decent game that Capcom made, right? Ooh, bang bang.
Looking for us.
Shots fired. It was really good. It wasn't great.
It's a shame because it's one of those games that was actually really clever, but I think maybe there's 4 of us in this room. I dare say not many more than that bought it. It's one of those games that was roundly ignored, which is a shame.
Do you remember when the UK had that earthquake? Do you remember the earthquake in the UK? It was like in 2008, I think.
Yeah, vaguely.
I was lying down in bed playing Zack and Wiki, shaking the controller the moment.
So it was your fault.
The earthquake happened.
Shake it a bit more gently, bro.
I've never been in an earthquake before, but I actually thought it was part of the game at one point until I realised.
That's Vera Mo's
Capcom, amazing.
I was it was like 2 a.m. or something.
I'm moving tectonic plates with my Wii remote.
We've got a game that literally made the earth move.
Before. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
This is literally a groundbreaking game, and we're not even adding it.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on. So Zack and Wiki is out. Number 34, the orange box.
Well, we're all here. There's just no way this isn't going to go in.
What a dazzling package!
Yeah,
that's what she said.
Wow.
What about the game, Rob?
What I'm saying is
it's an orange box as well.
There's Half-Life 2 in there, so let's move
on console. I don't include Team Fortress though.
Yeah, Team Fortress.
Team Fortress
abysmal.
was just broken and unsupported.
Especially
not Valve's
PS3.
fault, but because of the the conventions of the consoles. Portal 1 is obviously one of the best games ever, but the only new game in the Half-Life package was
really
Episode 2.
Now,
that package, in terms of games of this generation, is Portal 1 and Episode 2.
You know how much I am a fan of Half-Life.
Look how quiet he's gone.
No,
that means he's serious.
For people listening, he's reaching over to touch me as well.
But the honest truth is I don't think this should be on the final list. Much in the same way.
What?
Much the same way.
I did not expect that.
Much in the same way now 51, or the best anthems ever, or the best of the Beatles.
Yeah, but this was the only way you could get Portal.
It's not true. They brought it out. Stay Alive on Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah, and
no, as in when it launched.
The original Portal was also on PC.
On its own.
Yeah.
On its own. On PC.
You could buy them all separately on PC.
You can buy them all
right,
separately.
all right. Maybe. I wasn't paying attention.
I don't know. That's the point. The thing is, Portal 1 and Episode 2 are worthy of a game in the generation list on their own.
Exactly. Well, Episode 2 was a bit weird.
Portal 2, I'd say, is better than Portal 1.
Exactly, and eventually we're going to say that.
So this is a very worthy, one of the most worthy
incredible
entries on our long list.
Yeah, if you don't have it, you should definitely get it because it's got Half-Life 2 on there as well.
So are we punting it?
No, we're scratching it off.
We're
putting the Spec Ops line for it.
35. Oh, this is good. Mass Effect series.
Mass Effect.
2, absolutely.
2, 100%.
Yeah. There's a big audience out there, though, right?
That really like Mass Effect
the first one.
Because
like the RPG elements,
right? BioWare it was. This is the turning point. 2 was a turning point when BioWare kind of became less tied to its hardcore RPG roots and became this game that makes AAA cinematic experiences. And
I seem to remember the third one ending pretty satisfying.
Yeah, it was a great ending. Leave it.
I don't think there was any controversy over it either.
No.
I don't think
Nothing. It was fine.
it's
Everyone was like, "Wow,
Yeah.
that was an excellent series, start to finish."
I actually,
Not a
for the
single thing
record,
wrong.
I actually really enjoyed the ending of the third one.
I kind of hoped that the whole series that it was kind of led by like a small computery boy. That's what I thought it was going to happen.
Is it?
I'm glad it did.
Wasn't he the manifestation of something else? Like, wasn't he like a?
Do you know what?
No,
I
they
think
made it up
the
in
best.
lunch
I
break.
think if we're going to talk about opinions on the ending, I think that the conspiracy theory that it led to was outstanding.
Oh, that was a better
So
ending, though,
good.
right?
If they had
he
just
was dead,
left
right?
that, just leave that, let people discuss that for years and years and years, it would have been one of the greatest series.
But
of
it
all
was
time.
the thing is the ending was so bad. The only rational explanation that it was the mad fantasy of a dead protagonist.
Yeah.
But it became like the theory that people concocted. It was so well put together, so solid that you could, BioWare could have just sat there and said, "Yep, that was it."
You know what?
Well
the
done.
only
You did it.
insult
You
the
unlocked
only
it.
insult of that ending, though, and we're digressing massively, is that it threw away the torch of choice that the whole series stood for.
Yeah.
That's
I
why number
liked the
2.
ending.
That's why number 2
Mass
goes
Effect
in.
2.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
we all, I'm sure we all agree that Mass Effect 2 was.
XCOM, Enemy Unknown 36.
That's got to go in. You know that game's
is,
amazing.
yeah, such a good game.
Really?
For now,
So
it
underrated.
stays.
I never played it. I'm just taking your word for it.
Yeah, it's,
Oh, you
no,
need
it's
to
really
play
good.
it.
It's so
such a good
addictive
game.
as well.
I've heard
Turn-based
nothing but
strategy
good things
games.
about it.
Okay.
I haven't played it.
I don't
It's
disagree.
funny you've not played it because you've died on the battlefield many times for me.
Never.
Yeah.
Why does it bring in people from?
You can name your characters in your
Alright.
squad, whatever you want, and
Nice.
like customize them. So mine's got like different fictional characters and real people and stuff
I
like
feel-
that.
I feel
It's a great
quite. I
idea.
feel
It's a
quite
great
honoured to be named a dead soldier.
Oh, I
So
didn't.
cannon fodder all
name
You were in
him
mine
Dead-
as well.
Dead
Killed
soldier.
first battle.
I didn't rename him.
No, but I was.
You were just,
No,
a,
he's
you were
dead.
just, you were just a lousy soldier.
Right, come on, move on.
All right, so XCOM stays in at
Yeah.
36, 37. Rayman Legends.
What a hell of a game.
That is a great game. It made Rayman viable again.
You know, it made New Super Mario Bros. Look pretty average. Really.
Yeah, it made it look pretty average, but I don't think it made
It's
it
so
feel
creative as
pretty
well, it's
average.
I think it did.
consistently
I think the
Yeah.
mechanics
In
were
the
much
style of
tighter,
a Mario
much
game.
Really?
more
Yeah.
well considered. I think this was developed by a studio that had a lot to prove, whereas New Super Mario Bros. Was made by a studio that was a bit lethargic, a bit resting on its laurels.
I can tell I'm going to be outvoted here, but so I'm just going to go out kicking and screaming. I'm going to say it was fur coat, no knickers. It looked
Wow.
amazing, but I didn't.
I don't know what fur
enjoy-
coat, no knickers means.
It means
It looks good.
it means it looks great, but
Yeah.
is kind of
Lacks class.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Lacks
Yeah,
class.
yeah.
I don't think it played very well at all.
It was drenched with class.
swear, fur coat, no knickers sounds like a party to me.
Yeah,
Sounds like the name of a-
Straight to the
of a-
business. No.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call it a defining figurehead of this generation either.
All right, so we're keeping
Little
that.
glimpse of the real tomorrow there.
yeah,
We're keeping that, yeah.
Okay.
yeah. definitely.
So 38 Borderlands series 1 and 2. It was.
Right, it
I'd
has such a
almost say
massive
is-
following.
is-
Like,
is-
some
Yeah.
people love it and swear by it. I'm going to sit out this one though. 'cause
It's bigger than Bioshock, right? Actually, it is.
As a
Yeah.
franchise, yeah.
Yeah,
As
it
a
is,
yeah.
yeah.
as
It's
If you're
not
looking at the
sexy as
2K
Bioshock
games,
in terms of-
that's their big game.
And it
Yeah.
did some amazing things. Like no one did the first person RPG hybrid until that point. Like they did
Hang on.
loot
Yeah.
first person shooting.
Well,
I'm sure there's loads of first-person RPG.
Yeah, but they were very like they're done in
I
very
only- I only
niche
played-
ways.
I only played the first one, and I did really enjoy it. A couple of things I didn't like the sheer number of weapons there were, because ultimately
love that.
what you ended up doing was just picking up loads of weapons, saying no, and just looking at the numbers, and that to me was just a bit repetitive. And the final boss was dog shit. Other than that, I really enjoyed it.
Spoilers.
Yeah,
It's-
but
it's
it literally
not-
is.
it
It
was-
literally is a
It
piece
was
of dog
actual dog shit.
the sheer amount of content,
Level 99
and
dog
the
shit.
wealth of depth there on the
Yeah.
RPG side, it just scared me off. I mean, I did put a good few hours into that game, maybe
Yeah.
like 10, 15 hours.
Yeah,
But
I didn't like the art
It was
style,
it was
I
more
think.
the fact that it was
it's a
artificial.
beautiful
that-
game.
It's a lovely
It was more the fact that the depth in terms of the number of weapons was artificial depth. There was only a set number of types of gun, but then they're just like 1,000 times.
I mean, I appreciate it's got a huge community and a huge following, but that's not what we're here to judge games by.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's one of the definitive games of the generation.
Yeah, and none of us love it.
Not in the the kind of short, small list that we're trying to put together anyway.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's made the long list, so
it's made the long list. So
it's a game that people remember and bring up in conversations about this generation, but it's not the best game of this generation.
Scratch it off, move on.
Going to get some horrible comments.
Yeah,
39. Fable
people.
2 and 3. I think the Fable series is incredibly overrated.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's underrated.
It's Microsoft
I think it's
fans
actually,
searching for something.
I just think, I don't think anyone goes on about how great Fable is. Anyone. Yeah. I think the majority of people go on about how bad it is. I think it's underrated, especially the third game, Fable 3.
They did like a Metacritic of 90 or something.
Well, we're talking about.
You're talking about legacy now.
Yeah. If you talk to anyone on the comments or on forums now about Fable games, they'll talk about negative aspects of it.
Yeah.
Not many people will talk about how much they love them, and a lot of people do love them. Fable 3, I think, is really underrated game. It's a great game. I don't think they pushed the concept quite as far as they could have done. I would love to have played a Fable 3 with an extra year of development. Lionhead, especially under Molyneux, were really unafraid to be ambitious and introduce new ideas into perhaps a bit more conventional kind of vehicle mechanics. And that game presented some great player choices. Making you the king halfway through the game and going, right, well, now you have to decide between having an army overrun your entire kingdom and kill everyone, or letting the children's orphanage starve to death in order to save money for guards and weaponry and stuff.
Yeah, that was really clever.
And it did that consistently, and I thought
That
it was great. I'd love to see it fleshed out.
It's interesting. You can sort of see the Bullfrog DNA in those sort of ideas, can't you? But like Molyneux didn't even really work on the game.
I don't think even Fable 2, or even though there are Fable 2 and Fable 3 are the extent of the series thus far, I don't think even those two are the definitive Fable game. I don't think the definitive Fable games come out yet.
Oh right.
I think a lot of the criticism.
Point.
I think a lot of the criticism aimed at the Fable games has been self-inflicted though, because they as great as they are, and I love both 2 and 3. Both games were hyped with features that ultimately didn't kind of work out. I mean, they do so many other great things, like you said.
Lionhead would never do that.
I know, but like you say, the whole decision making thing when you're the king and all, it was great. But what they instead pushed was in Fable 2, this is this great level of interaction whereas all that came down to was you going in a town full of people doing a fart and everyone laughing.
Yeah, see,
and then the third one they were pushing. Wait till you see the sense of emotion that you get by holding someone's hand and all this kind of stuff, making it sound as if it was going to be the next ICO. And the hand holding thing just ended up just being a way of guiding NPCs to different sections. It was weird that they would focus on those bits that were ultimately disappointing when there was so many other great aspects to those games.
So it sounds like you agree with me. I think they're both great games, but I think both of them felt like the concept could have been pushed further. Yeah. As I say, I don't think the definitive Fable games come out yet. Fable 3, so many great ideas in there that I absolutely adored, but they fell short right at the end. Yeah. They could have been taken further. So I don't think they should go to the shortlist.
Sorry, Lionhead.
It's a shame.
Microsoft.
It's a shame they're so close.
And finally, number 40, Left 4 Dead, the series 1 and 2. I think they stay. I think 2 stays over 1.
I'm ashamed to say that I haven't really played it that much.
I'm semi-ashamed to say...
Call yourself a Valve fan?
Yeah. Well, I don't play multiplayer games. The concept of playing with strangers online is still...
This is a game that you don't play with strangers online.
I'm semi-ashamed to say I've played them both, but only in single player, which doesn't really count.
Wow, you guys suck.
Yeah, I know.
Left 4 Dead...
I don't want to speak to those douchebags online. They're all horrible people.
Left 4 Dead 1, for me, makes it in Valve's top 3 games ever. 2 was a experiment where they saw if they could get away with, putting out a full sequel a year later. I don't think they got away with it. I don't think they gave the community and the fan base enough time to get over the first one to go over the second one. And obviously, if you remember rightly, you see the reaction the fan base had to this announcement.
They still supported one, didn't they?
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. But one suspects whether. Well, perhaps not so with Valve because they're so great in terms of supporting their community. But they only committed to supporting it after everyone went absolutely mental, if I remember rightly. But the first one, certainly, I absolutely adore it. I played that game for hours and hours and hours. I'd go and play it now. It's such a great co-op. It's one of the best co-op games ever.
I don't begrudge it being on the list. I have actually played it for a few hours. And
I forgot how quickly Left 4 Dead 2 came out after Left 4 Dead 1. But yeah, the first Left 4 Dead, second one too, probably one of the greatest co-op games ever.
I think the first one should go in.
Yeah, go on.
Okay.
I don't know if it's going to make it to the final, the final list, but I absolutely adore it.
Okay, so that's the first part of our list taken care of, whittled down.
Shall we have a little match of the day
Chris,
style?
would you mind reading out what we've
say
got left?
Say the name of the game and then whether it was in or out, because it's good to look over all of it.
Yes. Okay. So. Okay.
Arsenal 1.
The best one of that is East 5 4 4 4 3.
I've got it. Very good. It's
good.
very good tongue
He
twister.
practiced that one in the front of the mirror. Definitely.
well
yeah.
Okay, first was the Halo series. We went for Halo ODST and punted the rest. Tokyo Jungle out. Red Dead Redemption in. Portal 2 in. Spec Ops The Line out. Pac-Man Championship Edition DX out. Braid out. Street Fighter 4 in. Fallout 3 in. Boo. Ni no Kuni out.
Yeah.
Gears of War 2 in. The Beatles Rock Band in.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess in.
Yeah.
Skyward Sword out. Guitar Hero series out.
It's so beautiful how he says out.
Yeah, I just say it.
I'm slowly evolving it to oot. Forza Motorsport 4 in.
I'm sure you're actually killing the ears of anyone that's listening. If that pop shield isn't doing its job, people are dying right now.
Yeah. I'm glad to be responsible for such carnage. Forza Motorsport 4 in. Forza Horizon in. New Super Mario Bros. Wii oot. Donkey Kong Country Returns out. The Walking Dead in.
Yeah.
Far Cry 3 in. Assassin's Creed 2 and Brotherhood both in.
Great games.
Yep.
Bayonetta in. Trials Evolution in. FIFA 12 in. Limbo out. Mark of the Ninja out. Super Meat Boy in. Insanely. Dead Space 1 in. Deadly Premonition out. Mad World out. Wii Sports in. Zack and Wiki out. Orange Box out. Mass Effect 2 in. XCOM in. Rayman Legends even in. Borderlands out.
Are we not done yet?
Fable out. And Left 4 Dead in.
Oh, that is
Crazy days.
Incredible games that are in
And some
there.
bold decisions that are probably going to have many tongues wagging.
Tokyo Jungle.
You look to the next one, we're going to have to be even more ruthless.
Oh yeah,
I
the
think
next one
coming
looks.
up are even better than those.
It looks.
Does anyone
like it's gonna
foresee
be war.
out of all of those? Does anyone foresee any front runners? Can anyone back any of those games as a contender, a real top line contender?
I think Wii Sports and Mass Effect 2 are definitely up there in the top 20 games of the gen.
Yeah, easily.
I think and
Portal
also
2 is in the top 5 for me.
Yeah. I think it's going to do
perhaps
really well.
I'm spoiling the result a little bit.
Well, the
For
thing
our
is that
final
there are
vote.
just so many other amazing games. Eventually, our ideas will start clashing with each other, you know, because there's only so much space. And so next podcast we'll go through the next 40.
Yep.